here. This is it, episode 10. I got rid of that stupid piece of wood behind me on the set. It was bothering me. Yeah, Rappaport helped me take it down. You know, now that I've sold my soul to Hollywood for having him on the last episode and all. Yeah, we're going to convert the place into a Scientology recruitment center now. Tom Cruise stops by once in a while. I get free vials of sacrificed baby blood. Yeah, a lot of perks. People had legitimate meltdowns last episode over me having Michael Rappaport on the show. I guess I'm a bad cult leader. One guy wrote, "Dude, go f*** yourself with Wackaport." Like literally, if you take on someone like Wackaport, corporate sucker, your ass must fit him, to be honest. Go ahead, just go f*** yourself with him. I really looked up to you, man. I really did. You seemed like the dude that gets it and has a voice for us that are not f***ing slaves to social media and hate evil. But taking on Wackaport is like sucking Satan's c***, putting it lightly. Man, if the priesthood catches wind of this. I can't tell if this guy thinks I'm the Pope or his father. I hate you, Dad. You're not my dad anymore. See, I don't draw lines in the sand when it comes to people who have different politics than me. I don't have to agree with you on everything for you to be my friend or to be a guest on my show. You don't have friends you disagree with politically? If not, you live in an echo chamber. That's fine, but that's not me. I like to find common ground with people. And I can separate politics at times to enjoy people's craft or whatever it is they do when they're not on their soapbox. I have no interest in telling anybody why they should think like I think about something. I'm not into political debates. I just tell you how I feel when I wake up, and what you do with it is up to you. That's it. My values don't change because I talk to someone with a different perspective. What's changed? I think I've been pretty consistent on how I feel about what's going on in the world today. I don't know. Anyway, speaking of values, today's guest and I share a set of those old school set of values. The hilarious Anthony Rodia, fellow New Yorker, hilarious stand-up comic.
If you're sitting there right now and you feel like I might say something that might strike a nerve and bother you to where you're going to go home and you're just going to have this urge to jump on the computer and write like a 6-page blog about the show, how offended you were, I want you to know, I want you to get the fuck out. Get out.
He's in the middle of a nationwide tour now. He's great. We're going to trade some funny stories and get into all the wacky shit that's going on in the world today. He'll be coming on in a little bit. Before we get started, I got to show some love to my sponsor, Atlas VPN. Say you search for a movie and it's not there. A lot of those movies you're searching for you can't watch because they're blocked in certain countries. But if you get Atlas VPN, it unlocks those movies. They got an offer for $1.39 a month. This is the lowest priced VPN that bypasses those restrictions. Like if you wanted to watch a show from the UK, like Top Gear, right? That show is only available on Netflix in the UK. All you got to do is open Atlas VPN, switch the server to the UK, go into Netflix, and there's your show. Why they try to keep these shows from you, I have no idea. I don't know how it works. This works for the other streaming sites too. Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, Hulu. It's worth it. $1.39 a month. Come on. Atlas VPN is supported on any device. You get a 30-day money-back guarantee for all subscription purchases. All right. What's new in clown world? Oh yeah, Bill Cosby got let out. Yeah, I'm sure some guy doing 20 years for a dime bag of weed in Florida is thrilled. I'm not even surprised anymore. Money talks and the guilty walks. We all know this by now. It's like watching a boxing fight and being surprised the obvious loser won the fight, like you didn't know the judges were paid off. Have you been living under a rock? Who's still surprised by the corruption in boxing? That's why when I heard Cosby was out, I just went, he got out. Look at that. Not surprised at all. What I am still surprised by is how people keep finding new ways to alter their face. Look at this one. If you're listening to the audio-only version of the show, We're looking at what looks to be a woman laying on an operating table receiving a lip injection. Her lips look like two raw pink Jimmy Dean sausages. Each of her boobs are the size of a globe. I mean, you gotta see this. If a photo like this were to pop up in 1947 after the Roswell UFO crash, people would believe this was a leaked photo from Area 51. This would be printed worldwide with the headline, "Scientists Retrieve Alien Life from Roswell Crash Landing Site." I mean, really, why would you want this done to yourself? Look what else she did. Look at this. I mean, look at this. It's like they replaced her hips with a toolbox. I've never seen such a thing before. And who are these surgeons that do this for people? Like, if I wanted to replace my arm with a machine gun, would they do it? Do these doctors just do anything you want? How about a propeller installed on the top of my head so I could fly around? I mean, good Lord, who's into this? Apparently this guy. Yeah, here's a video of some dude showing up to her door. She's like half naked, looking like a robot made out of Play-Doh. Incredible. Look at the guy looking back at the camera like, yeah, you wish you were me right now. No, we actually can't believe you'd think that. We thought the last thing you'd do is want people to know about your visit. You'd think this would be something someone would hide from everyone. I guess everyone's got their preferences. Weird. Then you got that British kid who tried to turn himself into a Korean. Yeah, I love this shit. I saw this clip of him on the news the other day. He's doing interviews now.
Ollie, welcome. It's lovely to see you this morning. Thank you for being here. So,
안녕하세요. Hi, guys.
hi.
Hiya.
I mean, I haven't seen such dedication and commitment to a role since Pacino played a Cuban guy in Scarface. He's in it for life. Bizarro world, man. Don't you just wish you could go back to like 1992 or something? Any time period before the internet, like when kids played outside. You know, I saw one of the saddest commercials. It's a Nature's Valley granola bar commercial, out of all things. And it highlights testimony from parents reliving memories of their childhood. Like here.
When you were a kid, what did you do for fun?
So we'd go blueberry picking, for instance.
It's sort of old. This has been out for a while.
We grew watermelons, plantains.
You go door to door, get a group of kids, and you play lots of games, hide and seek, just going out to the field and playing baseball.
And we built these massive forts, the kind that you can actually sit in and play in, with our friends. And it was just really wonderful.
Doesn't that sound nice? Then they interview the Gen Z kids, and man, is it depressing.
So what do you like to do for fun?
Video games. Definitely. I like to go on my phone.
My favorite thing to do in the world is definitely watching videos and playing video games. Those take up so much of my time. I watched 23 episodes of a TV series in less than 4 days.
No kid said this prior to this generation. Kids used to literally run as fast as they could out of their house the second they got home from school so they could meet up with friends and hang out.
I would die if I don't have my tablet.
Look at the parents. They're so sad about this.
It's mind-boggling.
It's scary to think that they'll never have to leave the house.
And we had video games. The difference is the games ended. If you died 3 times, the game's over and you went outside because you didn't want to start over from the beginning. Now there is no game over. They design these games so it never ends. You get unlimited lives. How's that even a game? How's it a game if you can't lose? This is what I mean. They shouldn't call them video games. They should call it digital heroin.
Whenever I feel upset, I'd play video games and I'd feel normal. It's really wonderful.
These kids in the commercial would go through withdrawals if they didn't get their fix. I mean, there's a guy right now sitting in the corner of a room somewhere on heroin who's been staring at the wall for hours with his mouth open, drooling. If you filmed a side-by-side time lapse of him and one of these kids playing Xbox, they'd look no different. Mouth open, drooling, and everything. Only difference is the kid robs himself of an adventurous childhood, and the addict, well, he robs his family for drug money. You mix this with social media addiction and you have a zombie. Look at what these kids do now. What even is this? Like, what is this video? This is all they do?
My attention! I kissed a girl and I liked it. The taste of her.
This is all they do. Lip sync to songs, make faces, and praise each other's mediocrity in the comments. And can somebody tell me why they always look like stems of broccoli? Look at those haircuts. They all have that broccoli sprout thing going on and that little dangly George Michael's 80s earring. I mean, is there some sort of mailing list they're all on where they get told what to wear each quarter of the year? Like, how do they all decide at once to start doing and wearing the same thing? They all just copy each other like lemmings. Literally nothing they do is an original thought. Copied haircut, copied earring while copying a song. Millions of views. Meanwhile, all these talented musicians and artists out there writing songs, creating thought-provoking art pieces, short films with like 42 views on their videos. It's a damn shame. Anyway, let's get to my guest because I want to hear him chime in on some of this stuff. He sees what I see, and sometimes I need to check in with people to make sure that I'm not the only one.
I'm waiting for them to start going live from wakes on Facebook and like Instagram, right? Like just a live chat. They leave the phone up there just facing the casket. Right? Imagine? Oh my God, I can imagine like my relatives. Okay, you got your coat? I gotta go to this fucking wake. Fucking yeah, let's go, come on. Oh shit, we don't gotta go. Look, he's alive. What do? I like? I push a like? What do you mean I was in all day? You fucking went live. You didn't see my comment? I said I'm sorry. I put in the pray hands emoji with the heart. I was in there looking through the comments. Go ahead. I like it 3 times. You don't see the fucking heart to float up when I like it?
My next guest is a first-generation Italian-American comic, co-host of the Little Bit of Laughs radio show at Goomba Johnny. You might know him from his Uncle Vinny comedy skits on YouTube. You could catch him on tour right now, nationwide on the Road Rage tour. My paisano, Anthony Rodia. How you doing, brother?
What's up? Doing good. You?
Good, man. Dude, right off the bat, we got to talk about something because I know you're just as fascinated about this as I am. I know you know what I'm going to bring up. The guy who got surgery to look Korean. I heard you guys talking about it on your show. You
know what it is? So listen, I always say there's gonna be people out there that you're never gonna please and make happy.
Right.
And I'm okay with that. I base my audience on an 80-20 split. 80% of my fans are gonna, understand what I'm saying and respect the fact that I don't speak with a filter. And 20% are always gonna bitch and cry. Right. The problem is when you start getting into those 800,000, 900,000 fans, you're gonna have 180,000 assholes.
Oh, absolutely.
So, I don't know what to even say about stuff. I mean, when does it become? So when does that thin line between expressing yourself cross over into you need to be put in a mental institution?
Well, that's what I want to find out. I mean, dude, he's doing media tours now. They have him on the news. They got this guy on the news shows. And every time he introduces himself, I've watched a ton of these just to see how consistent he is. He makes it a point to greet everyone in Korean before he starts speaking. Annyeonghaseyo. Like, if you and I did that, we'd be canceled immediately. I mean, this guy.
I had a lady write me a 7-page email because I did an impression of an Asian. I do when I do my live stand-up, I do all stories that I grew up with. So I reenacted a conversation. I can't even say what I laughed at. It's hilarious. My father called for Chinese food one day.
Yeah.
And putting my father on the phone with his accent
Yeah.
against an Asian with his accent. It was just, dude, it was so I reenacted it on stage.
Yeah.
She wrote me this big, you should stop Asian hate. I said, well, no one said anything about Asian impressions. I said, I'm not hating Asian people. It was an Asian person talking to my dad. How would you like me to reenact that? You want me to make believe the Asian guy didn't have an accent? Well, then now I'm lying. Now, I mean, can I not?
Yes, but meanwhile, she's okay with Japanese guy doing Super Mario, though.
Correct.
Right? That's okay, though, when the roles are reversed. It's
fine.
okay, but if we came up with a Japanese character and named it Super Suzuki or something and made him sound
Super
like
Yamaha.
Konnichiwa, then it'd be a big problem. Then it'll be all over the news. We're racist, cultural appropriation.
And that's the thing that's driving me crazy now. It's the hypocrisy. It's like, okay, well, if you do it, you're a racist, but if the other person does it, they're fine. It's all bullshit, man. And you know
bullshit.
What? I'm hoping for this pendulum to start swinging in the other direction because it's like everyone. I'm so sick and tired. We're a soft ass country right now, and I'm trying to have I'm trying to give the benefit of the doubt to most people, saying that I don't think it's the majority of the people. The problem is the media and all these news stations are giving the attention and the platform to the small amount of people that are bitching and moaning. Like this Korean, look, I'm calling him a Korean kid.
I know. See, they think he's got us fooled.
I know. But it's like,
it's working.
Well, okay. So now not only can we identify ourselves as another gender, but we can identify ourselves as another nationality.
Ollie, welcome. It's lovely to see you this morning. Thank you for being here. So,
안녕하세요. Hi, guys.
Hi.
I love it. And even the Koreans, he doesn't even acknowledge that no one in Korea respects him for this. They've made it very clear. They made it very clear that they reject what he did. He knows this, but he just keeps going on these shows like 안녕하세요, and it's like he's gotta regret this at some point. But at this point, can he just? He can't just call his surgeon and be like, doc, it's not working out. Could you put my face back?
He's not going to call the doctor and go, hey, this was a very bad decision on my part.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to be invited into a Korean household for ramen noodle. I haven't gotten an invitation. Can you make me English again? You can't backpedal.
I know.
But you know what I want to start doing? If you could identify yourself as another gender, if you could identify yourself as another nationality, why can't you start identifying yourself as an age? I'm going to identify myself as a 9-year-old, and I'm going to join a Little League team next year. I'm going to kick the shit out of all these kids. Listen, if you tell me I'm not 9, it's just as bad as me telling this guy he's not Korean.
Oh, it's incredible. The double standards.
I'm going to identify myself as a 9-year-old. Fuck, my wife already thinks I'm a child. So, I mean, at least she'll back me up on it.
That's great, man. Dude, the fact we all have cameras on our phone now allows us to see just how many crazy people there are out there living amongst us. Like, if that kid didn't have YouTube or Instagram, you got me crying, by the way, we probably wouldn't even know about this guy unless we walked past him in the street and did a double take. Like, remember growing up and you'd walk past someone you might have looked visibly different than somebody you've ever seen. Right. You wouldn't know if that person was born that way, had an injury, or got surgery to look like that. All you did back then was look back for a second, go, what the hell was that? You might ask your friends if they've ever seen that guy before, but now everyone shares their story online. Some share their entire day. I mean, what about that lady in the Victoria's Secret having a full-on temper tantrum over being filmed?
You keep lying saying I'm threatening you, so I'm recording to protect myself.
That's something something in 1992. No one would believe that.
Hell no. But the scary thing is, and I read a lot of your comments, and listen, I deal with the same bullshit. You have people that they'll look at something, like I ended up putting a picture of a woman I saw at the Tampa airport flying back into New York. She had on a plastic poncho, rubber gloves, a face shield, and 3 masks. So I put it on there, and I put something like, face shield, $3, mask, $7. The fact that I was able to get a picture of this woman, priceless. Here you go. I get people writing me, well, how do you know she doesn't suffer from OCD and high anxiety? Why does it always have to be that? Why can't she just be absolutely delusional and fucking idiotic and going out on a poncho.
Yeah,
they always have to bring them into that safe place.
How about let's put an assortment of knives laid out in front of those people and just see what they do when they get upset. You could really do a social experiment with those kind of people.
Yeah.
Especially that lady in the Victoria's Secret. It's like, thank God there was no weaponry around her. I mean, like, she's chasing around that lady. I mean, like, I would put my money on that she would grab a knife if it was available to her.
100%.
You know, and it's like that, you know, people go, oh, they should leave her alone. I mean, people don't realize how dangerous some of the people who act like that
and
can be.
That's my point. You put that out there, for the most part, level-headed people like you and I, who other people perceive us as psychotic, mean bullies, because we point out the obvious and we're not afraid to say what's weird. People will look at that and go, why are they bothering this poor woman? She doesn't want to be videotaped. She was chasing the woman and saying, stop following me. Does anybody want to connect the dots?
This crazy lady. Okay, she attacked me and try to say I attacked her. You look at this.
Get away from me!
Oh, y'all better get this lady.
Get away from me!
You got look at this. Get security.
Get the fucker! Get
security. Look at this. Yes, can y'all get
her away from me? Get her away from me!
Oh, have mercy.
And how about the fact that this was a black woman videoing the white woman,
right?
And now all of a sudden the roles were reversed, and they're like, "No, leave the white woman alone." I thought we were on this big black movement. She was chasing the black woman. Now she's getting, you know, I mean,
Wow.
she was like, "Stop! Literally, stop following me!" As she's chasing the lady, attacking her. And let me tell you something. Kudos to that woman that was videoing, because she was laughing her ass off.
Oh yeah,
she was like, "Stop! Get away! Get away!"
Yeah,
from
we
me.
would have been doing the same shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's when you get two people like the Karen in the video, where the world just explodes, and then there's a big problem. It's like you got to kind of take it with a grain of salt. You know what I mean? But again, it's like sometimes those people could be dangerous, and you just don't know. And you could be blindsided by those people. We don't know. I mean, we laugh at that video and go like, okay, it's another whack job out there. But it's like things could have been different. I mean, who knows what goes on in her house? I mean, when she gets upset like that, is she throwing her pets? You know what I mean? It's like these people, man. It's like, who knows what's going on in the house?
Well, when you started that video, you said the one thing that I've been thinking for a while. It's when are we going to start addressing the mental health issue in this country?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like there's a thin line between expressing yourself and needing help. And I can't stomach, like, for instance, like, you know, you'll have all these people that say, oh, well, we have a division in this country and everyone's divided, and the media and the politicians. Let me tell you something. Yeah. You and I see each other in person. If you act like a douchebag to me, I'm acting like a douchebag back. If you shake my hand and you treat me with respect, I don't give a fuck what you look like. So there's no politician, no media, no news channel that's going to control who I act a certain way with. Absolutely. So all these people out there that want to point fingers and blame, they need to start pointing the fingers at themselves. They're the cause of the division. But if I go out and when I'm with my kids and someone like that is having a temper tantrum in Victoria's Secret, I'm not going to say to my daughter, who understands a shitload at 5 years old, hey, don't look at people like that. I'm like, you see that right there? That's fucking weird.
Yeah.
You see that, Gabriella? That's weird. If I ever catch you rolling around on the floor in Victoria's Secret screaming, I'll punch you in your chest plate. Because I got hit as a kid. And I'm going to teach my daughter that's fucking weird. I'm not going to say, don't stare at people like that. She's obviously has a problem expressing her inner being.
Yeah.
It's, come on, man.
You know what I learned about that? It does start in the home. And, you know, I think it has a lot to do with how we were raised, you know, as far as like you're a first generation Italian. I'm like third or fourth. My great grandparents came over from Italy. So I think I'm like third or fourth. But you know what I learned is that once I left New York, I realized how different our culture is versus, let's say, American culture. You know, being offended by everything. You know, I can't relate to it because I feel we were all raised to have thick skin and never portray yourself as a victim. Maybe that's where the whole ball busting culture in our comedy comes from. All the roasting we do to each other. You know, it's like
you know what it is. So
yeah,
it's funny you said that because I've actually. Now that I'm traveling across the country doing shows, it's not just New York. It's, I think, the type of American culture. Like
Yeah.
what you said, ball
Yeah.
breaking. There are other
Right.
areas. I mean, I'm finding so many areas across the country, Rhode Island, Detroit area, Florida's huge.
Yeah.
You know, so many other areas that have such a huge Italian culture. But I don't think
Right.
it's just that. I'm learning it's not just Italian. It's first, second, and third generation. It's old school upbringing. When you're raised old school, listen, you would go to a family party of mine, and if there were no ball breaking going on, there was
Yeah.
a problem.
Yeah.
You know, hey, what the fuck are you wearing? You look like a douche. What do you wear?
Yeah.
And the ball breaking and like in my family, you weren't allowed to get offended. If my father saw me crying as a kid and he said, "Hey, what's the matter? What's the bother you?" And I said, "Well, I don't like that on TV." Turn the channel. Why you cry?
Yeah.
He wouldn't care. He wouldn't try to contact the channel or the station to get the show taken off the fucking air.
Right.
I just simply wouldn't watch it.
You know,
and I think so many kids now are being coddled where
You're
it's
right.
like, okay, well, if you don't like it, we're going to build this world around you
Yeah.
that you don't get offended by. Like right now, they have woke comedy shows.
Oh,
You got to look into this. It's hilarious.
Oh,
they're woke comedy shows,
Yeah.
and they're specialized to make sure that the comic doesn't offend the crowd.
Yeah, I heard there's a lot of that going on in New York.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, you know, it's like we
complete
were.
bullshit.
It's like we were built to be secure with ourselves, so we can
Right,
take a fucking
exactly.
joke about ourselves. And you're right, you hit it on the head. It's almost like an immigrant mentality. It's not just Italians,
Yeah.
but it's like anyone that has had values instilled in them from maybe the old country in some way. You know, that's why I feel like that gets lost here in America with families that might have, you know, a history that goes back hundreds of years, and you know they really get Americanized, and maybe they don't identify with like a set of rules like we had. I mean, I didn't realize people weren't like us until I left New York. And I mean, like, I'm talking like the whole cancel culture shit, the victimhood Olympics that goes on in America. I can't relate to any of that. I mean, how about the people go, "I'm living my truth," or the people who praise
my
people for getting
God.
naked on social media as brave
Right.
and empowering? To me, that's American culture. That's different. I
Correct.
don't identify with that. That's why I think a lot of comics like yourself, we're always goofing on shit like that because we can't relate to it. We're like, what the fuck
No.
is going on here? This is new.
Well, listen, you nailed it on the head when you said victim. I
Yeah.
think that's a lot. And I call people out for it all the time. I say, if you're offended by comedy, then you're looking at it from the wrong angle.
Yeah.
You can't look at, if I say something on stage and you're offended by it, you're taking it as it's an attack on you personally. It's not an attack on anyone. Comedy is comedy. Comedy is actually supposed to be an escape from reality. You know, and what pisses me off the most, and like, you know, I tour with Goomba Johnny, and, you know, my closest friends, they always ask me, you know, why do you let the negative comments online bother you? And the reason why I let them bother me is because I get so many emails, text messages, DMs, whatever it is, messages, or people that come to my live shows. I get so many fans that tell me, you don't understand what your comedy has done for me and my family, whether it was during the pandemic or my mother had cancer. She was in the hospital. It's the only thing that brought us through the day. Or, you know, I was sick in the hospital. Your videos, your stand-up got me through the day. Laughter is the biggest booster of an immune system that you could possibly have, because when you're laughing, your body is just such in a positive state that you're in a, listen, I've never seen anybody laughing in a bad mood. So when you get these miserable bastards that say, well, your comedy should be canceled or your comedy isn't funny. Well, dude, fuck you and your opinion, because you're basically dismissing all the people that my comedy helps.
Absolutely.
And that's the one thing that pisses me off the most is when there's one person, they go on, like even your page, they'll go on your page, they'll see 10,000 people that love your video, and they'll have to chime in with their negativity. This is offensive and not funny. No, asshole. It's offensive and not funny to you because you don't have the skin to handle it, but don't dismiss everybody else. Don't say it's not funny in general, because obviously other people are enjoying it. Take your opinion, stick it up your ass, and go into a safe room and just cry and watch Steel Magnolias all day with a box of Kleenex.
I agree.
I can't stand when they try to ruin it for other people.
I agree that, you know, the best thing to do sometimes with those people is not to give them the time of day and not to be emotionally attached to what they say. That's why you almost have to mock those people, and because the more upset you get at those people, the more you empower those people, as if, you know, like, oh, it's working, we got to them. They're upset,
they want a
about
reaction.
it. Yeah, I mean, how pathetic is that? You know, it's funny, man. I go through your videos all the time, man, and it just, there's certain behaviors and reactions to things that are almost universal when it comes to communicating with your Italian parents or grandparents. One of my my favorite videos of yours is Italians are always looking for a discount, which is so damn true. My dad, I think about my dad when I watch this, because my dad will find a deal for anything. It doesn't matter if it's a department store where typically there's no negotiating. It's just retail. But he'll find a way. If I tell him I'm going to Walmart to get a car battery, he'll be like, "Oh, okay, I'll go with you. See if I can knock down the numbers a little." I'll be like,
they're
"Dad,
at a flea market."
Yeah, I'm like, "Dad, this isn't a flea market. It's retail. You can't haggle at Walmart." He'll go, "All right, well, we'll see." I'm serious.
I have my father. I call my father every night on my podcast, and I called him last night, and he liked Goomba Johnny had a Milwaukee Bucks hat on.
Yeah,
and he goes, my father's a big hunter, and he goes, "I like that hat with the big deer." I said, "You want a Milwaukee's Bucks hat?" He goes, "Nah, don't worry about it." I said, I'll buy you one." "Nah, you don't have to waste your money. I don't want it. I don't want it." I said, "What if I told you I have one at home that I don't wear and I'll give it to you?" "Hey, if you're going to give it to me, you're not going to spend the money. I'll take it." And it's just that cheap. Dude, I couldn't put an in-ground during the pandemic, so I ended up putting an above-ground pool last year.
Right.
And he asked me, he goes, "Why you get something is so big?" I said, "Well, it was the only thing they could have had. Plus, I wanted to mimic the in-ground pool I was going to get to see if the kids will use it."
Yeah.
So he goes, "How are you going to put a water inside?" I said, "I'm going to put my hose in the pool." He goes, "You have any idea how much money your water bills are going to be?" I said, "And how would you like me to fill it up?" He goes, "Disconnect your hose around the midnight. I'm going to go next door to your neighbor house. I'll plug it into their side, and then you use their water while they sleep." I said, "I'm not stealing water. How cheap do you have to be stealing water from my next door neighbor?" But it's that mentality.
It really is, man.
He got mad at me. He calls me a week and a half ago. I was flying down to Florida for a bunch of shows, and he goes, "Hey, what do you fly to Florida? How you fly? What airline?"
Yeah.
I said, I fly Delta. He goes, "Anthony, change your flight." I said, "I got Delta's flyer miles, Sky Miles. I use Delta. Why am I going to change my flight?"
Yeah.
"You don't watch the news?" I said, "I didn't see Delta on the news." "Open your fucking eye. They say all over the news that Delta, it just started killing people with this coronavirus." I go, "That's the Delta strain, you asshole, not the airlines.
Right.
That's the name of the variant." He goes, "Oh, so it's another plane?" "No, people aren't going into Delta Airlines and getting sick." He goes, "Oh, my mistake." I'm like, "How many people are you telling this to?"
Yeah. Is this circulating in the community?
It's their mentality, dude. They all have the same mentality. Every single one of them.
It really is true. Well, they're always looking out for you. That is what it comes down to, and they want the best for you. But sometimes you don't need it to that extent. Like for example, like my dad, right? Going back to the deal thing, I needed a garbage bin for my kitchen, right? So of course once I tell him I need something, he has to come with me, So we go to the store, we get to the aisle. He goes, "Which one do you want?" I point to a really nice one on the bottom shelf. He gets down on the ground, starts looking it over, looking for problems. His game face is on. He looks at the tag on the shelf below. The price is wrong. So the bin's sitting in the wrong spot. The price is for a different bin. I'm like, "Oh yeah, it's probably triple that price." He goes, No, they got to honor that. He goes, so he grabs one of the workers. He grabs one of the workers walking by. He goes, "Let me ask you a question. This bin over here, we're interested. Is that the right price for that?" The guy picks it up. He goes, "Yeah, I think that's for a different one. Let me get a price check on this one." He goes, "Oh, you don't honor that?" Then he'll name another furniture store up the road and be like, "Oh yeah, we go to them all the time. They honor those mistakes. You guys don't do that." And then he'll go, "Hey, well, I have to talk to the manager about that because I'm not authorized to make that decision." And then he goes, "Okay, see what you can do because we're furnishing a house right now and we'd like to do the rest of the shopping here." He wears them down. He's the master.
You know what's crazy? So and this is why I say there are so many similarities regardless of what generation you are, because it comes down to how you were raised. So if they still carried on that old school upbringing, what you just said, my father is known for. He will go to a store, and the same way I look for shit that has no damage on it, he looks for shit that has minimal damage on it. So we went to go get a desk one day, and he goes, "Hey, they get this one over here." I said, "Why?" "There's a little bit of scratch on the back. I could fix it with a wood glue." I said, "But why would I want it if it's damaged?" He goes, "Because they're going to give you a better price because it's damaged." Then when the guy comes over, he not only asks him to see what he can do, tells him our whole fucking life story on why we need this desk. Yeah, see what you could do because my son had just had another baby and he just to come home, and so we want to buy the kid a desk for the room, and the room already cost a lot of money because my son used a crown molding on top, and he went a little above what he wanted to spend. So now I don't want him to do the same. And see what you could do. I go, they don't give a shit about my crown molding. He goes, Anthony, you explain the story. They feel bad, but they give you a good price. Don't worry about it.
That's the move.
They gotta do anything.
It's hilarious. They got that two moves is finding something wrong with the product, like the car battery thing.
And then the guilt trip that we spent.
The guilt trip. Yeah. My dad walks out with two car batteries for the price of one. I'm like, how is that possible? He goes, there's a little crack on the plastic by the connector. It's damaged. They can't sell it like that. They'll just throw it away. So I took it off their hands and I bought another one. Now you got a new one and a backup. That's why I said when I seen that from you, I go, this has got to be universal, because I'm like, it sounded like you were describing my dad. And
you know what the beauty of that is? I love when I do my live shows, because people from all over, I've learned in the last year or two that it doesn't, number one, it doesn't matter what nationality you are. Old school is old school, but how many people were raised exactly the same. The best thing that somebody can come up to me and say is two things. One, I find your live stand-up funnier than your videos, which I try to do, because if you laugh more in my videos, you might as well just stay home and watch me. Right. And the other thing is, I felt like as I was watching you, you secretly had a camera in my house while I was growing up.
Right.
And it's awesome, because number one, I mean, not only does it feel good that, other people are raised the same, it makes you feel good that now I know that my family wasn't the only screwed up one, that there were others, so it wasn't just my father or my mother. There were others. But dude, we can go on and on for hours on all this shit we dealt with as kids, but it's amazing how everyone was raised the same. It's funny.
You in New York now? Are you?
I'm on Long Island. Yeah.
Okay. Long Island. Okay. I lived out there in
begging my wife to consider moving to Florida.
Oh, well, see, I'm down south now. I'm going to tell you right now that the south is where it's at. It's a whole nother world, man. I mean, how is it there now up there? Where is everything open, or are they going to shut down again because of the Delta Airlines variant?
Listen, if they shut down again, they're going to crush this economy, man. Listen, here's my thing. If you got enough people vaccinated, I had the virus. My whole family had it. Thank God we got over it. I got the antibodies. So I'm not getting the vaccine. Also, I look at it this way. I don't trust that the vaccine is 100% safe, and I don't trust that the vaccine is 100% dangerous. So therefore, the only thing I do trust is my immune system, and that's what I'm going to go on. So I personally think that if you got the vaccine, you obviously got it with the thought of, this is going to allow me to live my life a little more normal, and I'm not going to be threatened by dying from the COVID. Right. So it boggles my mind how people with the vaccine, fully vaccinated, are still okay with wearing masks. It's like, well, then why the hell did you get the vaccine? So I hope they don't go back to masks. Right now we're open. Matter of fact, I've got shows this weekend, almost all sold out in Levity Live in Rockland, and they're at 350 capacity. I've got Westbury Theater in December. They're at 2,800 person capacity. Yeah, man. I've got a bunch of New York shows. I've got Jersey shows that are at full capacity. Yeah. So far they are. But I went down to Florida a lot, man, during the pandemic. It's the only place I was able to perform where people weren't freaking out.
Oh,
but
yeah.
So far, we'll see.
We never locked down here. I'm down in the Carolinas, and we just, everything stayed open, and we had the same spikes and dips that the rest of the country had, and, but anyways, it's like, I've gone back and forth to California since then, and it's like, LA reinstated the mask thing, and even though no one in the science community even suggested to do such a thing, just basically revealing that they don't actually follow the science and just do what we all knew they were doing the whole time, which is forcing people to do whatever they want to do. And the sad thing is everyone will obey.
People obey, but people see, here's the thing. People say follow the science. I follow the proof. Science is science. I get it. But look at Florida. Florida did the exact opposite of New York. They have a larger population. Their population is predominantly older because people go down there to retire. And yet their numbers were consistently dipping in terms of illness and death. So it's like, well, you're just going to ignore that? Well, that doesn't mean anything. What? That's fucking proof that they're doing they didn't shut down. They didn't cripple businesses. I've got so many friends that lost their businesses that they worked their whole life for that they're trying to rebuild now. New York is, I mean, listen, I don't want to get political because no matter what side you're on, you're always going to piss off somebody. But the thing that pisses me off is it looks like to me that this whole thing was used for political gain, whether it was for voting or whatnot. And my fear is that this shit's going to happen again towards the midterms. And if it does, people have to open their eyes. I mean, I hope it doesn't. Yeah. But if this shit gets bad again during the midterms and they start pushing the mail-in ballots and all this bullshit, right. you gotta say to yourself, hey, listen, okay, enough's enough. Now it's obviously political. But I know the numbers in LA, they say we're rising, but are they illnesses or deaths? Because correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think people are dying at the rate that they were when this whole shit started.
Yeah, I don't think so. It's just interesting because it's like, I think the people that are, you bring up a point about how, look, the proof's out there and they reject the proof. They reject reality. What scares me is that this is becoming a religion for some people. They're treating it as if you're challenging their entire identity as a human being. It's like, guys, it's not about that. I'm waiting for all these health experts to start promoting good health. When are they going to start doing that? All I hear is you need to get the shot. You need to get the shot. Do I still need to exercise and eat good, or we don't need to do that anymore? I'm not hearing much about that.
And I talk about that on stage. I say how many people have their priorities mixed up. And listen, I'll never call somebody out for shit unless they either start with me or provoke something. But Johnny and I were on a flight and we're sitting in first class, the first seat. And a woman comes on, and my leg was a little bit in the aisle. This lady was 450 pounds. And she goes,
yeah.
I go, what's the matter? She goes, your leg's in the aisle. Move it.
Oh, jeez.
I go, okay, it has nothing to do with the fact that you couldn't get through if they removed all the fucking seats. But all right. Yeah. So I move my leg, and she sits down. Now, mind you, the lady has a mask, a shield, gloves on. And she says to her husband, she goes, wipe down the armrest with Purell. So I made a comment and I said, well, you might want to use baby oil or else you ain't getting up off that fucking seat. And she looked at me and she goes, excuse me? I go, you made a comment about my leg and I'm going to point out to you that COVID all of a sudden is such a concern, but the fact that your cholesterol is probably in 4 digits has no fucking meaning to you whatsoever. Nothing and that's people like look at what's going on. Yeah. They're actually giving people Krispy Kreme donuts to get a vaccine. Yeah. Like when does it become comical? And it's like, well, I had a conversation with a friend of mine. He goes, well, they're giving out free vaccines because they truly care about the health of citizens. I go, then why don't they give kids with cancer free leukemia radiation? And why don't they give insulin shots for free? And why don't they give this for free and that for free? I said, why don't they just do everything for free then? Why are they charging? And he didn't have a fucking answer.
They never do.
When I don't mind following the rules if I think it makes sense, but when they don't make sense, I'm not following them. And what I find funny is people that are doing things and they won't even explain to you why they're doing it. We were in Ohio, and I stop at a red light, and I look to my right, and I can't bite my tongue. And it was a guy next on our right, and I said to Johnny, I said, dude, open your window. And he goes, come on, leave him alone. I said, open your window. There's a guy on a Harley Davidson, and he's got no helmet on, and he's wearing a mask. I said, yo, my man. I said, what's your logic behind that? Are you okay with your brains getting smashed on the curb?
They don't even want to get COVID.
Yeah. So I said to him, I said, yo, I want to say thank you. And he goes, for wearing a mask? I go, no, for not wearing a helmet. I don't need people like you reproducing. I said, I want you to hit a fucking stop sign. It's crazy, man. It's people are doing shit. They can't even, you want to bug someone out? Go into a store that has those social distancing mats on the ground and see someone standing on it and push them off of it. Watch them freak out. Because they're not standing on the social distancing mat. People are losing their minds, man. But you're right. It's like a religion all of a sudden. It's scary.
It's crazy. It's funny to see what happens to them when you challenge them.
They flip out.
They flip out. They fucking short circuit, and it's like, with the going back to like the mask mandate thing. And it's like out in LA, it's like they announce it 3 days. They implemented it to start 3 days after they announce it. So it doesn't begin until 3 days after the announcement. So you're allowed to spread it for a few more days. Correct. Then you have to stop. And because
Right.
they're so concerned about it. Now, if they were so concerned about it, they would have implemented it immediately. Like, I don't get how people
100%.
can't see through what they're doing and why they listen to this. And when you
Well,
go
the
to
problem is-
question those people about it,
Correct.
like you said, they
Yep.
get upset and they get emotional and they get mad at you. That's
Well, you know
a
why?
bizarre reaction.
You know why? Because you're making them realize how idiotic what they're doing is, and people don't like doing something that they don't have an answer for. Perfect. I have my daughter. My daughter's at a summer rec program in her school,
Right.
and her school's a great school, phenomenal school.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're under rules and restrictions by New York State. When she's in her classroom and her summer rec, the kids don't have to wear a mask. If she gets up and walks down the hall to the bathroom,
Yeah.
she has to put a mask on to walk through the halls.
Oh, that makes sense.
So you're in a classroom full of kids, no mask. You're in a hall with no one. You have
Yeah.
to wear a mask. I don't understand it.
It's
And then, like
Go ahead.
like you're saying, how people don't want to realize things. I connect dots. So
Yeah.
in New York, nobody, and again, this is not political. This is common sense. Nobody wants to call out Cuomo. He lifted all restrictions, catering halls, dancing, music, masks, lifted all restrictions 72 hours before his daughter got married.
Unreal.
You don't find that a little too coincidental?
Yeah, it's just
You know?
so inconsistent, and that's why I said, like, who's ever left that doesn't see this, to me, they're just gone, and there is no
Correct.
coming back, and it's only going to
Right.
get worse because, like you said, they've committed to this religion or this ideology or this way of thinking, or they've convinced themselves that this is that way, and it does go back to that human behavioral thing where, like, people just can't admit when they're wrong, like when they've
Correct.
committed to something and they're on a team, they have loyalty to it, and they'll defy logic and reality just to be right. And it's just
Yeah.
like that. That's never a conversation. You don't hear about that on the news. I mean, like, the president should be talking about it. But I mean, like, he's not capable of that. But it's just that you would think you'd have somebody competent enough to be able to talk about some of these odd behaviors that we deal with people that really become a burden to us and can really affect our lives. I mean, like, our lives are dictated right now by those people. I mean, they're the reason why this keeps going on and on. But they think that it's us that is keeping it going.
Oh, yeah. And listen,
it's
I always
back
say
and forth.
I don't care if you're far right or
Yeah.
way far left. I
Yeah.
think you're too far for me to have a conversation with, because
Good point.
what happens is nobody's able to disagree anymore. Why if we just would stop and fucking listen to one another. Like, if you and I disagree on something, I listen to your logic behind why you feel a certain way. You listen to my logic. We might still leave thinking the same thing, but at
Right.
least I know where you come from. You know where I'm coming from, and
Yeah.
we listen. People right now, you disagree with somebody, they're so quick to just tell you to go fuck yourself. Oh,
Yeah.
I don't need to listen to you. You're crazy. You're the devil. You're this. You're that. It's absolute bullshit. And what I'm afraid of,
Yeah.
and Johnny brought it up last night on the podcast, and it's such a great point. If you look at all the empires that ever
Yeah.
crumbled throughout history,
Yeah.
they didn't crumble from the outside. They didn't crumble because of a war. They crumbled from the inside. And I'm nervous, man, because the way this country's going,
Yeah.
we're gonna fucking deteriorate it. Because and perfect example on priorities. So we were in Tampa,
Yeah.
and every 3 or 4 blocks, they had huge rallies for Cuba. So they had all these Cubans with the flags rallying for what's going on in Cuba.
Yeah.
There were maybe 80 people, the most, at one particular rally, but yet there are millions of people marching to free Britney. You give a shit more about Britney Spears than you do about Cuba, because Cuba right now is a sign of what some of these people in this country are actually headed for.
Sure.
Like, look at Cuba and countries like Cuba.
Yeah.
Like, look at China, for instance. You don't have one sports figure in the NBA that'll bash China. They
Oh, I
will
know.
stick up for a fucking communist country and shit on the country that they live in.
Oh, yeah.
It's sad what's
insane.
going on, man.
It really is sad. I mean, it shows the true colors of people. I mean, like, you don't, like, you hit on the head. You don't see an anti-socialism rally going on in this country, and it's
No.
like, meanwhile, these people in Cuba are screaming at the top of their lungs at us, the Cubans that do come over. Like, guys, you
Right.
don't want this. You guys don't really, we already had this idea that you have, it's already been implemented in multiple places and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
We're escaping that to get to you guys. And you're
Correct.
rejecting the whole system in our country here. It's so insane, man. And we could go on and on about it. It's just that, at the end of the day, man, it really comes down to that old school traditional way about you got to look out for yourself and your family and your friends and keep your circle small and tight. And because if it does get worse, I got nothing for those people, and I need to build kind of my own little fortress away from those fucking people because, and it's sad to say because I'm like you, like I don't want to contribute to the divide in the country. That's why I'll have people on the show with different perspectives. I got ate up for having fucking Rappaport on. I don't agree with half of this stuff.
Yeah, and see, that's a perfect example.
It's like, but I can have friends that I disagree with, and that's what we should be doing. You know what I mean?
I saw that you had him, and now am I a fan of Michael Rappaport?
Yeah.
I wouldn't consider myself a fan. Yeah. I don't agree with a lot of the things he says, but I respected you for bringing him on because what are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to bring on people and guests that all align with your views and opinions? Well, then you're not broadening your horizons at all. You're not opening up your mind. So it's like, oh, you had that asshole on. Okay, well, that asshole has his own opinions. We don't have to agree with them, but I like to listen to everybody. Like with me, I was brought up where I went to a very diverse high school, and my mother and my father came here as immigrants. They weren't treated with respect when they came over in the 70s. But my parents taught me, I don't care what the person looks like. If they treat you with respect, and I find out that you disrespect somebody because they're simply different from you, I will beat the living shit out of you. You don't have the right to disrespect a human being simply because they're different. Now, if they're an asshole to you, you act like an asshole to them. But if they treat you with respect and you're treating them differently simply because they're different, then I will beat the shit out of you when you come home as your parent. And that's how I was raised. That's how I'm going to raise my kids. So I'm not a fan of the divide, but these people that they don't realize they're causing the divide at the same time trying to stand up for it. It's fucking twisted, man.
Amen.
It's twisted.
Anthony, thanks so much for doing this, man. Tell everybody about the tour. Tell everyone about the tour where they can find you and what you got coming up.
You go on rodiacomedy.com. I've got all list of shows. We're touring all across the country. I'm going to be performing. I'm making my Vegas debut at the Venetian November 27th. I'll be at the Borgata in December. Westbury Music Conference Fair, the theater in Long Island. We'll be in Austin, Texas. We're going to be in Denver, Colorado. And right now, I mean, we have, I think we're booking all the way into May of 2022. So it's getting pretty exciting. It's taking off all over the place.
Oh, fantastic, man. Look, guys, it's been fun. We're out of here. Goodbye, everybody.
I appreciate it, bro. Thank you.